That is gone at the end of this year, so you'll see a zero in next year's budget
Yeah.
on that line item.
I thought I actually looked and I thought I saw $103 on that line item in the main budget, but not in your portion, but I think, I'll double check though.
Okay.
That was a note that I had written down that I actually saw a number still there. Is that funding you're gonna have to come up with from someplace else?
If we want to do after-school program. So we have submitted an application to the United Way for sustaining that program.
Okay, thank you.
We have several schools doing doing presentations in April, am I correct? Okay.
Departments, yeah. Yes.
Anybody got anything for her? Okay, you could actually stand down. Oh, you are standing.
I appreciate that, thank you.
Mike, I just couldn't resist.
I know. I know. Well, we've come to the end of the road prior to graduation. We've now arrived at the high school. I don't like to oversimplify things, but you know, and what my colleagues have stated before us, it's $125 per pupil allocation. And Dr. Volcano brought up a very good point. And I have to rest on a personal story. This summer, they were collecting items for school-based programs at a church. And I went to the CVS on the south side because sometimes I attend a church over there on sites right across from the old Shaw building. And I went to the CVS and I grabbed glue sticks, I grabbed some construction paper, I grabbed some scissors, I grabbed some markers, a few other items. And I went to the register, happened to be an Easton student, of course, working the register there at the south side CVS. And it rang up to $34. I was simply going to make a nice donation for this program for putting something together. And what we're looking at the high school in comparison, the point is, it's $125 per student. And what is different from our budget at the high school that I'd like to point out, which was brought up in terms of contracted services and equipment, is that we have more of it. So if you're going to look for differences right off the bat with the high school budget versus what you see in the elementary and middle school, what you're going to see right away is cost $6,500 for technical equipment. We have wood lathes that function on computers. You know, and competing in the 21st century, that's the type of skills our kids need. That's the type of equipment we need in our building. Therefore, that's the type of cost that's going to be associated with that. And we're still spending it with $125 per pupil. That we're still making that same line for those particular students within our building. So, with that being said, anything else, Jeanette, you'd like to add before we go to the questions? Jeanette will be answering all the questions.
You're on 20? Is that what that they're correct?
Yes, 20.
Okay. No.
Okay, have at it, guys.
Well, I think one time you were even at 150. I'm not be sure. So you're in focus with everyone else. I don't know how you do that at the high school, but that's a job well done.
I'm curious, I'm sorry. At the end of the year last year when we implemented this spending freeze, were there a lot of things that you had budgeted for? You know, I know some schools, things you can look for up front, but for especially at the high school, that there are certain programs and activities and things that maybe you're, you know, the end of the year is a very busy time. And I'm just wondering if, because you did, you know, looking at how the expenditures went, did quite well, came in quite under, but I'm wondering if that is a function of, were things lost at the end of last year, or did you manage with things as they were? You know, did it impact programs and things at the end of the year?
I would say historically that there's always a concern that we want to make sure the funding for our students is done in advance. So not everything can be budgeted in the fall, but a majority of our budget, if you can look at how it's broken down, is the English department will have a certain amount of expenditures for general supplies. They'll order those things typically at the beginning of the school year, want to replenish some of those supplies in January when they run out. But in April, they don't tend to be ordering large amounts of materials because the school year, the close of the school year is fast approaching. And what's on their mind isn't purchasing supplies for the previous year because we're budgeting for the year in which we are in. So most of the time, I would say that those line items, those allocated funds for the budget, are normally spent by that time period. Were there things that some departments were upset about? Absolutely. Was it the end of the world that we couldn't function as a school? No. Was it noticeable by our students? I don't believe so either. So a majority of the things that are already purchased up front here, magazines, repairs to machinery, materials for construction projects, what have you, family consumer science, food, all of those things are ordered up front and taken care of at the beginning of the year. So when it's cut in April, majority of our expenditures have already been made.
Does graduation go through your building budget?
Yes, it does.
Absolutely.
It's
Not in
on
there. Is it, I.
591.
on there.
Well, it's not budgeted in our 90-page budget. It says graduation, and there's nothing there, so I'm wondering if it's included
Oh,
in
you're
your.
you're on here
It's
now.
not part of the building.
It's not part of the building.
No,
It's
there's a
not part of- no.
line, there's a line for the, and correct me if I'm wrong, Marie, there is a line for the high school graduation. It is not part of the high school building-based budget because it is not part of the per pupil allocation, similar to the scenario
Part
that
of our
Alyssa
fund.
just described to you.
Part of our.
Okay,
Part of our fund.
because it is currently on page 11 of our 90-page, not that this is not in your section, but, there is a line item called graduation, and there has been money allocated in that for the past 2 years, and for this year and next, there was nothing in there, and I wasn't sure if it was a function that it was covered elsewhere in your building budget, and, no,
not letting them graduate.
Want to make sure the graduate, we've got some money here for.
That
Thank
comes out of
you.
our general fund?
Yeah.
Questions?
Questions, folks?
The binding and printing, Mike or Jeanette, is on the second page of your group. At the top, it's $6,000. Is that the graduation booklet you put,
The Junto,
the
printing
Junto?
of the
No.
Junto.
Student newspaper.
Yep.
I got you.
And the binding or the books you could recycle again, in a sense.
That's not one location, that particular line is specifically for the Junto. for the student
Okay,
newspaper.
then binding should be taken out of there.
That's the description that PDE would.
Oh.
It's a description, if we were to get something that was binded under that line item, that's what it would be.
Okay.
This one happens to be newspaper style.
Okay. They staple, I guess that's considered binding, right? Whatever.
The magazines on the 5,000, are they for the library or are they for the classes?
Which number? There's more than one number.
It's 310, it looks like.
It's for the library. The library's.
The 2250, the bottom line there for magazines is the library. That's the count code. The 1360 is voc ed, and the 1100 is just regular instruction for secondary students. So there you see 1722 for the 1360 account, and then the $5,000 there is for the library.
Right.
And I think that's very important when it comes to updated reports and stuff. A lot of teachers say they want reports on this and they want them within a 2-year period, so they have to go a lot of times to the library to find articles that will fit that. All the ed software is all coming out of the technical budget.
You don't have anything budgeted for that.
Nothing.
No, you have nothing budgeted, but I'm saying is that because it's coming out of the technical budget.
Technical.
Okay.
Anybody have any other questions?
Well, that's.
Nope, that's right.
What, I know you pay dues to student council, to the state and national,
It's not part of the building budget.
not part of this plan, okay? And again, capital budget, capital technology goes to Mr. Drago.
They don't have anything.
They don't have nothing.
No, they don't have any, I'm saying it goes to Mr. Drago because they would have it, okay. And ed software, the same thing.
Okay,
I'm nothing else, no?
all right, nobody has anything else to say? No questions?
I'm surprised you got for that.
Before all of you go and leave us tonight, I want to personally thank all of you for your hard work and diligence and the job that you did. Sometimes you are not noticed, but believe me, tonight, those of us who've been sitting here and those of us who've been sitting out there must commend you on the job that you've done. And I will speak for the board and thank you for all the effort you've done. keeping things as close as you, believe me, you are appreciated, even though I wish we could show it. Thank you. With that, public comment on non-agenda items? If there is none,
Can I insert here and go back to an item that's talked about next meeting's agenda on March 10th?
yes, we can.
Would you like to, at that point, go over the department budgets, and that would include transportation, custodial maintenance, all the other departments? Do you want to go back to your binder and ask questions about individual pages and individual lines? What would you like to do?
Let's
No, I don't do
brainstorm, folks. What do you want to do
that's the next time.
for the next meeting? We meet on the.
March 10th.
March 10th,
So is that what we're going to follow, departments?
yes, yes.
Everybody in agreement with that?
Is that, now, is that, this is not the all-day meeting?
No, another night meeting.
No, okay, March 10th.
Are we in agreement with that? Anybody not? Anything else needs to be added to it besides what we already given Marie to get back to us on various items?
And, Mr. President, are we gonna go through the way we did tonight?
I
thought it was very
sincerely
good.
hope so, Dr. Volcano.
Yeah, thank you.
With that said, no public comment. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
For the board, there's an executive session. Immediately